Boss fights are amazing, but some boss fights can make you cry. So let's talk about 10 hardest bosses that will just make you frustrated. World of Warcraft has some of the most challenging raid bosses found in any MMORPG, but if you want top difficulty, look no further than Kil'jaeden from Tomb of Sargeras. Simply getting to him requires players to defeat 8 bosses. Kil'jaeden himself is a 3-phase boss fight, with lots of intricate mechanics that needed to be executed perfectly by every player in the party. The best World of Warcraft guild in the world was the first to take down Kil'jaeden on Mythic difficulty, and it took them a grand total of 654 attempts. She's an optional boss fight that consists of 2 phases. Melnia hit fast attacks, including an unparryable kick. That's just the warm-up. To make matters worse, Melnia heals herself for a hefty amount with every hit she lands on the player. If you somehow manage to bring Melnia down to 0 health, prepare for phase 2 of the fight. During this phase, the boss retains her previous attacks, while also getting 2 new ones, along with increased damage, of course. Dante is arguably the toughest boss in the entire series. You get to fight Dante 2 times while playing as Nero, the first of which serves merely as a tutorial. The second encounter is significantly more difficult, as Dante will use everything in his arsenal to try and defeat you, including all 4 of his styles, and his double trigger. He'll mop the floor with you and look cool while doing it. The Emerald weapon is a massive sea monster that's a bit of a pain to find, and even more of a pain to defeat. The boss can knock out unprepared party members with a single attack. The fight will be on a 20-minute time limit. That's quite a lot of pressure. This boss is a skeletal humanoid that uses its own placenta as a weapon and emits horrible screeches throughout the fight. The first phase is more or less manageable if you can dodge the placenta attacks. The second phase is a lot harder, as the boss becomes even faster, while also using hard-hitting leaping attacks and blood explosions. The Demon of Hatred is an optional boss you can encounter near the end of the game. He is a brutal 3-phase boss fight that takes tons of patience and perseverance to overcome. Unlike a lot of other bosses, the demon comes out swinging hard from the get-go and doesn't let up throughout the entire fight. Ornstein and Smuff gave us one of the most iconic boss encounters, and also one of the most hated ones. The worst part is that you'll need to fight 2 bosses at once in a fairly small arena. The biggest problem is that these 2 complement each other perfectly. Of course, we can't forget that once you defeat one of the bosses, you'll have to face a souped-up version of the other one. This list is incomplete without mentioning the Pandemonium Warden because, according to a famous news story from the time, a guild comprised of more than 36 players took it upon themselves to try and defeat the Pandemonium Warden in what would become an 18-hour marathon. The marathon ended when players started becoming physically ill from playing too long, with several of them vomiting and passing out. The Nameless King is easily one of the hardest bosses in the entire Dark Souls series. He's an optional boss. He has 2 phases, the first of which is only moderately difficult. The same cannot be said about the second phase. The boss powers up like a Super Saiyan after you kill his dragon, and will come at you with a flurry of lightning-fast and lightning-infused attacks that are impossible to parry, and dodging them is very hard. To make matters worse, your visibility is greatly reduced, and you'll have to deal with some notoriously bad camera work during the fight. Sigrun is considered one of the hardest video game bosses in the series. She's an optional boss who is much stronger than the game's final boss. She will only show up after you manage to defeat the other 8 Valkyries, who are not exactly weak either. Once Sigrun enters the ring, not only does the Valkyrie Queen have access to an insane number of powers, but she's also much stronger and tougher than other Valkyries. That's it. Now share your boss fight experiences below in the comments section, and like and subscribe for more videos.